You guys are just amazing. I love you guys so much. I've had so many new members this last week. It's unbelievable. I can't thank you enough. Today's video is going to be part 2 of the video yesterday of the man riding the lawnmower down the street and getting pulled over and refused to ID because he wasn't doing commercial activity anyway. So I guess he decides to secretly record himself at his hearing. So here it is.
Yeah. Your choices, sit or stand.
I'll sit for right now.
Counselor, you can call your first witness. Oh, would you like to waive the reading of the information, or would you like me to read?
No, I want to hear everything.
Okay.
We're gonna go to jury trial after this. Doesn't go away.
Okay. Mr. Bowles, you're here for a preliminary hearing on charges filed by the police.
So we're looking at probable cause today.
Please don't interrupt me, Mr. Bowles, or you'll be here for a lot longer than your 3 hours. You have been charged with a misdemeanor count of resisting arrest and a summary count of not having a driver's license, summary count of driving while suspended. Well, the summaries are irrelevant today. We will not take testimony on the summaries. The summaries by law travel. If the criminal case is bound over, all the summaries will go with it. If the criminal case is dismissed, all the summaries will also be dismissed. These charges stem from an incident that allegedly occurred on 28th of June 2020. At which time you were observed driving a lawnmower without tags or rear lighting. You were stopped by Chief Heilman. You refused to provide information related to your driver's license, wouldn't give your name, and that you were not doing anything wrong. They said they would have to arrest you so that they could get your identification. They pleaded with you, discussed with you for 20 minutes to give them some identifying information. You were then told you were placed under arrest. You refused to get off the tractor. Multiple police officers then removed you from the tractor with substantial force when you refused to let go of it. And they got you to the ground and handcuffed you.
They should have tased you.
And they found your ID. 8th, driving under suspension, which I will tell you, if convicted of at a later date, will carry with it substantial jail term. You're driving the tractor to the store. That's what it's alleged to have occurred. Today's hearing is not to determine your guilt or innocence. It is only to determine that there's sufficient evidence to bind this over, which is called prima facie. A prima facie case is based on me taking all the evidence in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth. And if they provide sufficient evidence that a jury, if they believe everything the officer says, and that would be at a jury trial, that would be sufficient evidence to convict you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Wait a second. What? He actually understood what the judge just said? Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Okay, you can call your first witness.
Commonwealth calls Chief Heilman.
Please raise your right hand, face the judge.
You swear to affirm all the information you give in today's hearing is true and correct, to the best of your knowledge. If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Sir, please state your name for the record.
My name is Chief Richard Heilman. I'm employed by the Carolina Borough Police Department as a police officer. I've been self-employed for approximately 28 years.
And sir, Chief, were you on duty on June 28, 2020?
I was.
And during that date, did you encounter an individual who is known to you as Ronald Ball?
Yeah, that he is now known to me as Ronald Ball. Yes.
And is that individual present in the courtroom today?
Yes, he's seated at the defense table in the black mask.
That's sufficient for the court. The defendant has been identified.
Yes.
Where were you when you first encountered the defendant?
I observed him in the 200 block of East Main Street, Fairfield, Rhode Island, County, Pennsylvania, where I live with.
And at that time, did you have cause to approach Mr. Bull?
I did.
And what was the reason for approaching him at that time?
He was driving a lawnmower down State Route 116 East Main Street in the borough of Fairfield. Vehicle that was not registered, displaying plate, tag, with lighting, so forth.
At the time of the encounter, what occurred with Mr. Bull?
I pulled out behind him, I activated my lights, he pulled off the roadway. I approached Mr. Bull, who was wearing a face mask and a face shield. I asked him for his identification. That began a approximate 20-minute or so discussion where he presented the sovereign citizen argument that he didn't have to provide me any sort of ID. I begged him to give me his name. He refused to do any of that. I advised him repeatedly that if he wouldn't provide me his name, I couldn't identify him, I'd have to place him under arrest and take him into the booking center for identification at minimum. He continued to refuse. After that period of time, I told him that I was going to have to arrest him if that was his final choice. I asked him to get off the tractor. He refused to do that. We then attempted, I had the assistance of officers from Cumberland Township, Gettysburg, Liberty Township, who come to assist. We then tried to remove him from the tractor. He held firmly to the tractor on the side. I was trying to remove his left arm from the steering wheel of the tractor as we tried to pull him off. He refused to let go. It took considerable force to break his hold on that. Meanwhile, the other officers were struggling to try to get control of his right arm. In the course of it, we were forced to take him to the ground to try to cuff him, and then we struggled for some period of time to get his arms behind him. It took a considerable amount of force to finally handcuff him that exposed all the officers involved to the risk of bodily injury.
Remember now, he hasn't done anything wrong. That whole 30 minutes, nothing. Not one thing did he do wrong. According to him, anyway.
Once we had him in custody, we found his driver's license, identified him, and he was placed in custody for that resisting arrest and the assault summary charges.
How long did the struggle in attempting to remove the defendant from the tractor until you finally got him into compliance? How much time had elapsed during that struggle?
Probably from the time that we first laid hands on him until we had him handcuffed and back up, standing up was probably half a minute to a minute, somewhere in that range.
And how many officers were involved in that? Directly involved?
Directly involved, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe, that were directly involved to try to get him handcuffed.
And does that include yourself, sir?
That includes myself.
That was a cop pile on the bad guy. Cop pile on the bad guy. It was a beautiful thing to see. We might as well watch it again.
Come on, I'm telling you, you're going away. Come on, man. No, hold on, this is nuts. Oh, this is nuts. Don't resist. Don't resist. I got the we don't want to hurt you. Don't resist. We don't want to hurt you. Just relax. I can't relax. I can't fucking breathe. You understand? I'm not fucking relaxing. You motherfucker. We don't want to hurt you. Just relax. Oh my God, you guys are going so bad.
you, those are all the questions I have for the future, Your Honor.
Do you have any cross-examination, Mr. Bull?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
This is where the fun begins. Let's hear what this legal scholar has to ask the chief.
What's your definition of probable cause?
Objection is irrelevant.
Sir, that's a legal question. That could be dealt with at a later time.
Didn't he choose-
Mr. Bull, please don't interrupt me, okay? Because I'm trying to explain things to you. And if you interrupt me, then I won't get that explanation. If you believe that there wasn't probable cause, then that is a suppression issue which would be dealt with at the Court of Common Pleas after the filing of a suppression motion. It's not relevant here. You can move on.
Do we have a copy? Did you ever see a copy of a magistrate's signed affidavit of probable cause or the warrant? Do you have one that's signed by a magistrate at all? Because I don't.
No, sir. The affidavit of probable cause, because it's a misdemeanor, so anytime the affidavit of probable cause needs signed is if a warrant is requested. The only thing that has to be signed for purposes of the misdemeanor is the verification.
Okay, so there's a request for a warrant in here, then shouldn't there be
There
a...
was not a request for a warrant. You were arrested on view
I got one in here.
and taken to the prison. There was never a warrant request made. And a felony doesn't need sworn to. All felonies have to be sworn to because by law, a warrant is issued as one arrest.
Okay.
For the love of God, can you please stop shuffling your sovereign paperwork crap around so we can actually hear what's going on? Please?
I don't know, maybe I don't know what this paper is then. Could you show this to him and see if it was an arrest warrant? Because that's what I look like. It says arrest warrant on it, so that's what I figured it was an arrest warrant. It's asking him for arresting.
It's signed by,
Nobody for him.
well, that's because it's, I just said it's not required. The verification is the only thing required in this case because he was not sworn in. The verification is properly signed by a judge and Officer Howman. There's no argument.
I don't have a copy of that verification. Can I get a copy of that verification? Because I don't appear to have it.
You have it.
Could you show me where it's at? Because I don't have it.
Sure. If you don't have it, then
I don't think it's here.
that's the one that the revision provided for you. I will make a copy of it and I will come right back. So
Thank
you
you.
will have it. Revision provided you with that. But before you were arraigned, this was done.
I bet it was. Alright, that was wrong.
Here you go. There's your copy.
You got my packet back too? I don't have the packet now. I don't have the packet now.
You don't have what?
The packet, but I gave you.
Mr. Ball, I just need to explain to you, we're here regarding the facts of the case that day.
Okay.
And
Gotta have it.
procedure.
Paperwork, right?
Go ahead, you can continue your questioning.
Okay. So, I think I heard you say you've been on the force 28 years?
That's right.
Okay. Are you aware that there's some items under 1301 that are exempt from a tag? That you just find me for 1301 saying that I need to have a tag?
Sir,
Objection is to the relevance
we're
of
not here
summary
to argue the
offenses.
summaries, we're only here to determine whether you did or did not resist arrest. That is a suppression
Okay,
issue. If you believe that the stop was illegal, you will need to file a suppression motion at the Court of Common Pleas if your case is bound over.
Okay.
All right, Judge, listen, I know you're trying. And it's going to be hard because you're dealing with a sovereign citizen and he's not going to understand anything you say or believe it.
Does the court recognize Terry versus Indiana or Ohio?
Do you have a copy of it?
I got it. a little bit of it, but I don't know the whole thing. But
What are you referencing?
well, I'm referencing obligation to ID without probable cause.
That's the state of Ohio.
It's also the state of Pennsylvania. This isn't a show me state. This isn't a stop and show me state.
Sir, the
Right.
requirement that you provide identification was based on a crime being committed.
Right. Allegedly.
That's a suppression
That's the probable
issue.
cause you won't let me talk
That is
about.
also a suppression issue related
Okay.
to whether or not this was a valid arrest.
Okay. So, are you familiar with UCC?
Sir,
What? Why can't I ask so many questions?
you're not addressing any of the relevant issues. I'm trying to get you to where you can actually help yourself. Go ahead, ask the question.
Well, you're saying it's about resisting arrest then, right? Is that where we're trying to get to?
That's the issue.
Okay. Well, if I wasn't lawfully arrested, then I can't.
Sir,
Resist arrest.
I've explained to you that whether or not there was a valid arrest, probable cause for the arrest is not relevant for purposes of today's hearing.
You got to start at the beginning of the
It may become
pullover.
relevant at a later date through a motion for suppression of the arrest being not based on probable cause.
Do you recall why I was telling you that I didn't want to give you an ID? Can I ask him that?
You sure can.
Okay, we got a question now. Do you remember why I told you I didn't have to give you an ID?
Yes, because you believe telling me your name or providing your license would enter into some form of contract with the corporation known as Pennsylvania. I believe is your explanation.
It's pretty close, yeah.
The fact that you admit to that in front of other people is hilarious. You just don't know how dumb you really are. Dunning-Kruger effect on display.
Did you also recall me telling you that the vehicle that you were referring to, the tractor that was on, you kept saying it's a motor vehicle? Do you remember that conversation? You kept saying it's a motor vehicle, therefore I had to have a driver's license for it.
Yes.
Correct. Now, do you know what the definition of a motor vehicle is?
Objection, again, it's a legal issue, Your Honor. It's
I'm gonna-
It's defined.
I'm going to allow that question overruled.
There's a definition.
Yeah, I can't quote section 102 of Title 75 off the top of my head, but it's a motorized vehicle. A vehicle of a motor travel.
I'll grant it's judicial notice that it's a motorized vehicle pursuant to the
It's
Pennsylvania.
not a motor vehicle under
Your Honor, I have the
USC.
definition here if you'd like me to.
No, I've entered my rule.
USC? USC is a commercial property.
That's federal statutes,
Correct.
not state.
State has to follow the federal when it comes to
No,
that because
they
you're
do
getting
not.
money from the state for
They
the
do not.
roads. You're getting money from the state for the roads. You can't underdo federal. And I have constitutional rights that they can't go against either. I have a constitutional right to travel.
Wow, you have no problem making a fool out of yourself in front of all these extremely intelligent people and the internet. Thank you, though. Gives us good entertainment.
I've
Upon the road
entered
race.
my ruling, sir. You need to move on.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a right to travel? Sir.
Oh, certainly, yes.
What's your belief of that?
Objection is the relevance on the resisting arrest count.
Sustained.
All right.
What's the matter? You can't think of anything else to say?
Upon an arrest in Pennsylvania, is it policy and law to Mirandize somebody?
I'm sorry, what was the first
The Miranda
part?
rights.
What was the first part of your question?
Upon arrest in Pennsylvania, is it not the law that everybody gets read the Miranda rights?
It is not.
It is not.
It is not.
He's correct.
I have to disagree with that.
He's correct.
Okay. Do we have any rights at all in Pennsylvania? Do people have any rights?
Sustained.
Relevance, argument.
Sustained.
Okay.
You really have no idea what you're doing at all. You don't know what to say.
Not having a tag or taillights on the back of the tractor was your first inkling to pull me over, correct? That was why you wanted to pull me over, because I didn't have a tag.
You're correct. You're operating the motor.
Yeah, no, you're talking about no PennDOT tag, right?
Correct.
Right. Did you realize that guard tractors it's an impossibility to even get a tag for that?
Sure, because they're illegal to operate on the roadway.
No. Are you familiar with 1302?
Objection, Your Honor, I believe this issue has already been sustained.
Didn't get no answer.
As far as the relevance of the registration.
The objection was, hold on, let's just take care of this real quick. 75-1302. Be much easier, we can move on.
Any implement of husbandry within 50 miles.
This is not an implement of husbandry.
Sure it is.
Nope. I'm the sayer of the law in here. You can make that argument to another judge or a trial. In my opinion, it is not.
Well, it doesn't appear we're going to get anywhere with this. I'd like to turn some forms in for you, for some documents here that prove that I have a right to travel upon the roadway. It's a constitutional right that can't be taken away from anybody, by anybody, for any reason.
Wrong, 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 wrong. No, wrong.
Wrong.
Actually, you have a right, but your right is based on following. Your right is to travel on the roadway is constitutionally guaranteed, but not doing it in any way, shape, or form you so choose is not constitutionally guaranteed.
Not correct, sir.
Well, you know what?
I got 167 of them right here, and I got another 50 of them right here that says you're wrong. And you convicted me twice now of this. I'm going back on your other one, too. We're going back on those other ones you convicted me on. We're not done with this. Believe me, I spent a lot of time researching all this.
Well, you obviously do not know how to do research. You probably just Google stuff. And you might want to talk to a lawyer. That's probably your best way to go because you don't know what you're doing.
All right. I got some documents to turn in. For part of the record,
We're not a part of the court of record, but you can turn them in for purposes of today's hearing.
are you going to read them for today's hearing?
I will look at them unless they're objected to and the objection is valid.
Here's these two. One. There it is.
So copy for opposing counsel.
That's it for now. I'll save this for later. Oh, I thought you were going to show her.
No, just show her those. And then she can determine if she wants to make an objection, and then I will.
I do have another copy of them.
That's all right.
I can only imagine what documents he's turning in. This should be good.
I've glanced at these, they appear to, none of it relates to this
I have
resisting
to
arrest.
glance at them and
They
make my ruling.
appear to relate to the summary offenses,
Oh, we're driving on a suspended license.
right, which is a summary offense.
That's, you're going to be trying under a crime. That's going to put me in for 2 years. It's a crime, not a summary. I want a jury trial, too.
Well, first one, deprived without due process of law, that's what we're doing now. Second one says impaired by state police authority. That means nothing in this case. The claim of an exercise of constitutional right cannot be converted into a crime. This is the crime alleged based on your actions after the stop, not your actions during. So,
Have any actions after the stop? Other than getting beat up.
none of these are relevant, sir.
Well, that's funny. We'll see what the senators and stuff and the legislature have to say about it. I think they're going to find a line. I want to still get these stamped and put them in the file.
I already said there's no court, if we're not a court of record, we will not keep the file.
Aren't you going to move them up to the next level?
We'll have to present them again at the next level. I'm not going to keep them, we are not a court of record, I do not retain.
No wonder they keep finding me guilty at the other courts, and you aren't sending up the documents to go in.
I didn't make the rules.
Yeah, I didn't make them either.
If you don't think what happened today is fair, you can file a habeas corpus motion at the Court of Common Pleas to have your case remanded for an additional hearing, at which time I will recuse myself. Do you have any more questions?
Are you sure about the date that you say this happened, sir?
It was the 27th of June, 2020, 20:39 hours.
And when you were spending time before you interacted with me, where were you parked?
I was parked at the Poly Farm.
On private property?
Correct.
You were in an unmarked car?
Correct.
Are you supposed to pull people over in an unmarked car?
Yes.
I'll check on that one too. Well, I can't really get to the resisting arrest until I go through the probable cause, so I guess I'll kind of shut luck at that point.
Well,
Can't
you
start at
ask
the
your
beginning.
questions, and we'll determine based on the questions if they're objected to. I'll enter a ruling on the objections. If they're not objected to, I will allow the question.
Under the resisting arrest charge, are you familiar with if it was an unlawful arrest, you have right to resist that arrest? When it's an unlawful arrest, this person has a right, actually duty, to resist that arrest and not get beat up or killed.
I would object to the question, given that the resisting arrest statute applies not only from affecting a lawful arrest, but also discharging any other duty. So I believe
Any
it
other-
states the statute.
I'm sorry.
It's a question of law you're asking, and that's a question of fact for the jury to answer. For purposes of today's hearing, lawful or not lawful of the arrest is not relevant.
So then if that's not
Whether
relevant-
there's probable cause.
Then the resisting arrest shouldn't be relevant if that's not relevant.
You can make all these arguments to a jury or in an appellate or in a court of common pleas motion to suppress.
Do you remember I was recording our pullover?
Yes.
Do you happen to know what happened in that recording?
I have no idea it was on your phone, other than when I put your phone in your bag, I stopped the recording, put it in the bag so it wouldn't show your battery while you were in the prison.
Are you aware of the fact that when you had my phone after I was apprehended in like 30 seconds, that one of your underlings evidently erased the recording, and then when it went to your hand, the recording started over while it was in your hand, and then you put it in the car with a fresh recording? In other words, do you realize you tampered with evidence that was on my phone?
I did not tamper with it. I just told you what I did. It appeared like it was recorded. I hit the button to stop it, put it in the bag.
And when did you say you did that? Put it in the bag?
When I was collecting your stuff after you were in the back of the car.
So you think you turned it off right before you put it in my bag?
That's what I thought.
You sure of that? Okay.
I'm sure that's what I thought.
Okay, we'll bring that up later then, because we got a problem there. So we'll bring that up later.
Go ahead. Do you have any more questions?
When you went to take me to the prison, do you recall me telling you or asking you, begging you to take me to the hospital for the damages you guys did to me?
You mentioned the hospital when we pulled into the prison.
You don't remember you telling that before you even pulled into the prison, that I needed to go to the hospital because you guys beat me up?
Yeah, it was at the prison.
Okay. All right, you're saying it was at the prison. You recall?
Objection's been asked and answered 3 times now.
Do you recall
It's also not relevant. The only thing that's relevant is the incident.
Well-
And anything that happened after the incident may lead to a civil suit or potentially anything that the police may have done wrong, but for purposes of today's preliminary hearing,
Doesn't matter that I got.
the statements made by you after the arrest are not relevant.
The statements that were made to me after the arrest?
You made after the arrest.
That I made after the arrest. Okay. So when he refused to give me medical treatment, that didn't matter either?
Not for purposes of today's hearing.
Okay, it didn't show any malice, as in why he beat me up? You didn't even feel like taking me to the hospital or getting help after he beat
Sir,
me
I've
up?
entered my ruling. You need to
Okay.
move on.
Well, I guess we're pretty much done here because you're not going to let me get anything in anyways. So, go ahead and move it to the next court.
Anything that is
It's all right.
admissible evidence based on the rules of court.
You don't want to be law.
And the rules of criminal procedure.
Okay.
Do you have any additional questions to ask the officer?
Is the plaintiff in the room?
There is no plaintiff.
There is no plaintiff.
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is the charges.
That's called a fictitious plaintiff, right? That's a fictitious plaintiff. As in federal rules of court and procedure, not allowed to have. Not allowed to have their fictitious plaintiffs.
The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has the.
And that, my friends, is where he stopped his video. He obviously was found guilty on that charge so that the case can move forward. But he's just ridiculous, but most sovereigns are. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed it. I loved it. It just showed how dumb he really is. And I can't wait to see you on the next one. Till next time, we love you. Bye.